Beating cancer. Winning or losing the battle against cancer isn't determined solely on a life saved or a life lost. It's the life lived. Skating.
Jeff's one of my close friends. We grew up together, played sports, played baseball together. When we came up here, we played high school baseball together for Dave Aycock. Yeah, he was definitely reserved and quiet, but in the school, he was just a really loyal friend. But outside, playing sports, hockey, baseball, he was just a bulldog. He was always in the lineup, no matter if he had an injury or not.
Somebody like Jeff, because he was the most humble, compassionate, kindest person. And I'm not just saying this because of what he endured, but that truly was his fiber. He was a kind, humble person, and he was in a lot of pain constantly, and he never showed it. He would just put a smile on his face and try to go through his school day. I am quoted in the book from Susan because one of his things that he'd always say to me is, Mrs. Grant, I'm just going to get through today, and then we'll see what tomorrow brings.
It seemed like everybody was his best friend because that's just how he treated people.
You know, he's a hard-working kid, showed up every day. He was a lunch pail kid where you knew what you were going to get out of him. Didn't have the flashy game, but he was a very steady defenseman. You know, he's a tireless worker.
He was a good kid, good-hearted kid. He didn't participate every single minute of every single day, but he had a really nice way about him. He was really laid back. He was friendly, he was outgoing, and he had a good heart. He was just a nice guy.
Really good teammate, really positive attitude, just the type of kid that, you know, every coach would like to coach. So, but inside of school he was definitely quiet, but just very respectful to all his teachers and friends.
Was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma, and at the time we were putting a team together to ride in the Penn Nast Challenge. The Boston Bruins were putting a team together to raise money for cancer research and awareness.
Some of the younger hockey and baseball players that, you know, play in the Jeff Hayes tournament or, you know, still skate over at Gallo, I think it's a good book for them to read.
More than just a normal hockey game.
Well, it's given, at the end of the tournament, it gives a scholarship out to a player, and it's a pretty big opportunity to who that award gets presented to especially have Jeff's name incorporated into it and give the chance to that player to bring on the scholarship to wherever they're going.
Jeff, he probably went through a lot of pain with cancer, so I don't know, he kind of inspires me whenever we're getting down like through a Zesler or a countdown to keep on pushing.
Able to wear the same colors and him having the same, well, being on the same ice as him and stepping into the locker room that he stepped into and touched so many lives, pretty awesome.
There was a terrible sense of loss at Oak Ridge for anyone that knew Jeff. You know, he brought something to the school environment, and he brought something to the classroom. You know, there are people in this life that you meet that when they're not there, you really feel that absence of their presence. And then, even though Jeff had moved on to the high school, and you know, there was still, for anyone that knew him, there was definitely a terrible sense of loss. And
You know, just to see his fight and the way he handled himself while facing all the adversity he did was just a true inspiration. So, you know, as a coach, unfortunately, I didn't get to coach him for as many years or as much time as I would have liked to. But just seeing the way he handled himself as a young man was just something I'll never forget.
Depending upon what the crisis is. So I had made a decision that a school-wide assembly was too impersonal, and I wanted to have the opportunity to answer questions from students. So Jordan and I did all 4 classes. We started with the seniors, and we met in the auditorium. And we basically, quite spontaneously and without a script, just told the story of Jeff Hayes. We talked about his courage. We talked about the shock of his diagnosis with Ewing sarcoma and how rare it was and how frightening it was and how brave his journey was. And we talked about his ability and his unselfishness to basically launch the school into a new era of collective pride. And the freshmen didn't know who he was, but they wanted to learn about him because there were so many kids in the building wearing number 12 t-shirts, and I still have mine. And we wore them constantly. Like on any given day, this hall would be full of number 12s. And that's even before his passing, and you can only imagine how many more there were, you know, after that. And what we knew about him, we were able to share with the freshmen. The sophomores knew him a little bit. The juniors, it was very difficult, because a lot of those guys knew him very well. And the seniors, they were just very, very sad.
To have lost his life living with honor is the greatest achievement and legacy one could impart as a guide for us to live by. Thank you.